Hi, this is Plague Warrior coming at you this week. And it seems like I just kind of make videos when I want to, so I apologize. I think there was just too much going on last week and didn't have a good idea for a video, so I just didn't make one. But we got one today, and I thought about talking about what everybody's talking about, which is Comixology getting shut down. And I'll be honest, I never used Comixology. I'm not really a digital person, and there's two reasons for that. One is the price, and I think that's really the biggest thing about the price. The biggest thing is the price, because I remember when it was way in the early 2000s when they were first coming out with digital, and I was like, oh, you can get the, I was flipping through this comic and they were advertising the digital version of it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. And somehow I found out, I was like, it's the same price as the physical copy? And I'm thinking, yeah, I think me and my cousin was really buying most of the comics back then, and he was fitting the bill for it, and he would read them, then I would get to read them, and then he'd hold on to them a little bit and resell them. So I was kind of if we really liked it, or if I really liked it, he'd let me keep it, And it's like, well, if I'm paying the same price and I get to keep the physical copy to hold on to, read again, and it's easy to pull out of the bag and read it, I might as well just buy the physical copy. There was no reason. It didn't make sense to me to buy the digital copy. So that's what always stunned me. And it's just crazy talk. It's stunning that comics thinks that they can charge the same price for the digital copy as the physical copy, when other products like video games and other things know to price their digital stuff lower in order to get people to buy it, since they're not actually getting a physical item to compensate for it. That's why I feel like most digital stuff, when I say most, from what I've heard, I have not personally experienced it, but I do have a friend who's experienced it. The Shonen Jump app seems to be the exception, which is a good price model. But most digital stuff, like Comixology, and I think there's one other one, or the Marvel and DC stuff, seem to be doomed to fail. They're just doomed to fail. And one side note on the digital stuff is, I remember going through, I think I was looking up business ideas or something for my comic book company, and I remember scrolling across to a video with Mark Waid, and he got a team, and they came out with some type of digital comics thing, and the point of it was to try to make it different and make it kind of like a walking, or one of those motion comics. And he was showing us what it was, and they would like throw the text bubbles on there, throw the person walking, then it would have the sound effects come on to it, but then it would come back out, and then it would go back, and it went to another panel. But then when the other panel was finished, it went back to the first one, because there was a bubble that went back to it because she was responding to something somebody said. And he was like, see, it's not possible in a original comic, because you couldn't have it to where, the person responded and then go back to the original panel. It would, to be honest, it was just stupid. It was just all around stupid. Because the only way to view that isn't in a digital form. And the writer and the artist would have to tell the designers of the website, or whoever's crafting the comic and putting on the digital at that time, you'd have to tell them, like, hey, this needs to go first, this needs to go second, but then you'd have to go back and then do this again. And if you're putting out like 30 or something comics a month, you're going to get somebody that's not paying attention, or doesn't care enough about their job, or the creative team isn't expressing their ideas good enough to somebody, and it's just going to be all screwed up. His huge problem, he is trying to reinvent the wheel. Guess what? The wheel is perfect the way it is. It doesn't need to be reinvented. That was his problem. Don't try to add spiciness to it. Don't. The funny thing is they trying to do all this crazy stuff, when, to be honest, what's the biggest digital thing you can think of? Piracy. People will pirate crap all day, whether it be comics, video games, or what. And you know what they all want? Something free. Just like Napster. When Napster came out back in the early 90s and stuff. Well, Napster was kind of piracy, depending on your viewpoint. But what killed Napster? iTunes. That's the idea. And what was the whole thing about iTunes? It was cheap and it was easy. That's the biggest thing. You want to stop piracy, make a digital thing that's cheap and easy. Because when it's cheap, people are like, you mean I don't have to go on and worry about like viruses getting downloaded to my computer because I'm downloading illegal stuff, and these illegal websites usually have like porn ads or something up there, and can do stuff to my computer, and also get a lot of just even regular ads just popping up all the time. And number two, when it's easy, usually when you find these websites, you gotta go and you try to find these things. Usually the people that kind of post them on there, the quality can be diminished. They have them out of order sometimes. Sometimes they only have 1, 2, and 7, or volumes 1, 2, and 7. And so if you make something cheap, you make something easy that's just people can just scroll through, people won't pirate. I guarantee it. I guarantee you make something cheap and easy, people will not pirate. People will use your cheap and easy product because it's like, whew, I don't have to have the hassle of trying to do it all myself. It's just right there. So that's the thing. Now, I read these things. I read one once. The Marvel and the DC versions of their digital stuff. I can't remember, like, one novelty about the DC one, because that's the one I used. I forgot what the DC universe, whatever, was that you could pop it up on the TV. And I thought that was kind of neat, because it's like, I'll just sit there, eating my breakfast, reading a comic book on the TV. And I don't remember why I didn't like it, though. I think that the only reason is the interface was bad. Like trying to pick out the comic. There wasn't good recommendations, maybe. And the other reason is they have that silly zoom feature where it's like they have like a way zoomed out thing that you can't see anything, but you see what the entire page would look like. And then they have a zoomed in feature where when you want to actually read the pages, they zoom in, but they zoom in so close that it's just like they zoom into like where the speech bubble is, and you miss all the art, and you just read the speech bubble. They zoom back out, see the picture, and then when you go on to the next panel, they zoom back in. Speaking of piracy again, by the way, I just want to admit I've never pirated cough, cough, cough. But, one day one of my friends, threw a laptop in my face that had a pirated comic in front of me. I said, get this filth out of my eyes. I don't want to see this. I'm a good person. But, cough, cough. But when I did happen to see this pirated comic, the neat feature was it, like I said, kept it simple. You didn't get to see the entire page, but, if somebody really wants to see it, they'll hit Control Zoom themselves on their computer. But what it did do is it pretty much gave you like a third of the page or half the page to where you still could see most panel art and you can read it real well. So you can just kind of like read it, get to see most of the panels, or get to see the panels. Then when you're ready to go on to like the next half of it or the next third of it, you can just kind of scroll down with your mouse, and do that. So, I mean, that seems like the easiest and best way. I mean, people are already doing it that way. So, that's my thoughts of why Comixology just doesn't work, and why, like, most digital things don't work. Usually it's price and the interface. Like I said, you gotta make it cheap and easy. You make it cheap and easy, you'll have a winner. Well, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe.